On this model, we're going to be talking about the muscles of the neck. A lot of these muscles will insert on the hyoid bone, which is this bone right over here, and you can see the whole bone over here. So then anteriorly, we have the first muscle, which is more medial. It's going to be called the sternohyoid. So like the name said, sterno is going to originate on the sternum and insert on the hyoid bone. The one right next to it is the omohyoid. So omo means clavicle, so it's going to originate on the clavicle and insert on the hyoid bone. Right next to it, more superficial, is the sternocleidomastoid. So like the name says, it will originate on the sternum. Then there's another part that will originate on the clavicle, and both will merge to insert on the mastoid process. Then next to the sternocleidomastoid are your scalenes. Now because your sheet just says scalenes, you don't need to differentiate them, but this would be the anterior, the middle here, and posterior scalenes. Then going further back, this muscle on the back that's most superficial is the trapezius. Don't get the trapezius confused with the carpal bone trapezium, because it's only a one letter difference. And then this muscle right over here under the trapezius is the splenius capitis. Then underneath the mandible, this muscle over here is going to be called the mylohyoid, which will originate on the mandible and insert on the hyoid bone. The other muscle underneath the mandible is the digastric. The digastric has two bellies and it does not insert directly on the hyoid bone, so that's why it's only called digastric and there is no hyoid bone on the term. So digastric, it has an anterior belly over here and a posterior belly over here, but they will not insert directly on the hyoid bone. Then the last muscle is a tiny little muscle over here that's called the stylohyoid, which will, like the name says, originate on the styloid process of the temporal bone and insert over here on the hyoid bone.